Today we're making a meatball sub. Anyone can do it. It's so easy to make. It's nice and cheap too, depending on what ingredients you buy. The flavor on the meatballs is insane. The sauce is incredible too. It's nice and thick. And this is absolutely delicious. Now for the prep, we're going to need 1 brown or yellow onion. Take off the tip, leave that root intact, slice it in half, peel it. We're then going to dice this into small pieces. And we're going to separate it because half's going to be used in one part of the recipe and half is going to be used in the other. In total, I have 7 cloves of freshly peeled garlic. 4 of these are going to be used for our marinara sauce and 3 are going to be used for our beef mix. Grate these along a microplane to create a paste, and it is best to do a paste for this recipe as it will mix in a lot better. In these 2 bowls, I've got freshly picked basil leaves. This is 10 grams or 0.3 ounces and 5 grams or 0.2 ounces. Just like the other 2 ingredients, this is going to be split, so make sure you keep it separate, and you can either chop it up or you can tear it by hand. That choice is all yours. What I have here is 1 ball of fresh mozzarella and slice this into thin rounds. The thinner the better, as it will melt a lot quicker. If you have thicker rounds, it's going to take a lot longer and most likely you'll burn the bread before you melt the cheese. If you don't want to use this, you can use store-bought grated mozzarella. As for the rolls, we want a hoagie or sub roll. You can slice this open however you like, leave it attached to each other, slice it down the middle like a hot dog, or just completely separate it, which is what I'm doing. And for the purpose of this video, I am only going to be showing one, just so I don't waste ingredients. Into a bowl, add 500 grams or 1.1 pounds of beef mince. This has a fat percentage of 18%, half of the diced onion, 3 cloves of the grated garlic, 1 tablespoon of dried Italian herbs, crack in 1 whole egg to help bind this all together, 1/4 cup or 25 grams of panko or regular breadcrumbs, the smaller amount or 5 grams or 0.2 ounces of chopped up or torn basil, about half a cup of freshly grated Parmigiano Reggiano or Parmesan cheese, and then season with salt and cracked black pepper. Get in there with clean hands, mix this all together, make sure everything is completely combined, that egg and panko breadcrumbs are evenly distributed, and if you prefer your onion a little bit smaller, just make sure you do so when you're preparing it. Now when it comes to sizing and rolling out the meatballs, you can either weigh the whole amount and then divide it by a certain amount of meatballs you'd like. The size really doesn't matter, it's all about preference. I prefer the smaller meatballs because they cook quicker and it's easier to eat, especially when putting them in a sandwich. You don't need to see me roll them all out, you should have something that looks like this. Place a pan over a medium-high heat and add in 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Add in all of the meatballs and spread them around so they're not sitting on top of one another. We're going to sear these for about 5 to 6 minutes or until just cooked in the center. It is a good idea to keep them moving around, but we don't want to move them around too much because we do want to build a crust on the outside. If your pan's hot enough, nothing will stick. You'll get that beautiful golden sear which will hold the meatballs all together. And I do recommend you be careful with these because they can be quite delicate. The more you move them around, the more chance they have of breaking. Once they're nice and golden and just cooked through, we can then start removing these and place them onto a clean baking tray and just set them aside for the time being. Turn that same pan back down to a medium heat, add in the remaining onion along with a little bit of salt and pepper, and we're going to use that initial oil and fat to saute these onions as well as the little crispy bits that are left in there. Doesn't matter if you mix them, it's only more flavour. Mix this around, saute it for about 3 to 4 minutes, moving it around every now and again, and the natural moisture in the onions will help deglaze the pan. At this point, add in the garlic, mix it around and cook for 1 minute. Then we can add in 1 can of diced or crushed tomatoes. It's about 400 grams or 14 ounces. And use a little bit of water to rinse out the can so we don't waste any. Add 100 grams or 3.5 ounces of tomato passata or tomato sauce. The remaining 10 grams or 0.3 ounces of chopped or torn basil leaves. And then season to taste with salt and cracked black pepper. Mix this all together, make sure all of those flavors have become friends, check it for seasoning, adjust if necessary. If you feel it needs a little bit of sugar, you can do that now. Bring it to a simmer, reduce the heat to low, and cook this for about 15 to 20 minutes or until it's nice and reduced and thick. And we want this sauce to be quite thick. At this point, add in the meatballs, and you're going to pretend you never saw what just happened there. And be sure to scrape in any resting juices that there may be, it's all additional flavor. Increase the heat back to a medium to medium high. Mix this all together, make sure that the meatballs are nice and hot in the center and of course coated in that sauce. We only need to cook this for about 1 to 1.5 minutes, only really bringing that heat back into the meatballs. With our hoagie or sub roll, you can spread whatever sort of sauce you want over it. I'm using a little bit of Basil Pesto, placing this on both sides. It complements this sandwich so well, and I know it looks like a lot, but it really isn't overpowering at all.
Add the mozzarella cheese onto the top side of the roll. The amount is up to you, but I don't recommend going overboard because it makes it really hard to melt it all without the need of a blowtorch. Then add it under the grill in your oven and just toast it to your liking or until that cheese has melted. Now at this point, place the meatballs down. The amounts again are completely up to you. The reason why I made small meatballs is because you can get more in there without the whole sandwich just falling apart. Then add the sauce over the top, and the reason it's nice and thick is you're not going to end up with this big soggy napkin. For extra fillings, it's optional, but I'm tearing up a little bit of basil leaves, then adding over some more Parmigiano Reggiano or Parmesan cheese, always freshly grated because it's always the best. This time the amounts are completely up to you. Then place that top roll over the top, push it down slightly so it can compact it and hold it all together. And what we have just created is this meatball sub. It looks incredible, it smells incredible, and it is really easy to make. It's only fair if I slice it in half and show you the center. The meatballs are perfectly cooked, nice and juicy, and you have an even layer of all of the ingredients.
With all said and done, there's only one thing left to do, and that is we can then dig in. That's incredible. That right there is a top tier sandwich. The meatballs are incredibly juicy, packed with flavor. That sauce is the same. Even though we didn't cook it for too long, there is a lot of flavor going on. And the benefit of that thick sauce is just, this isn't gonna become a sloppy mess and everything's gonna fall apart. Definitely do try this. And regardless if you make a sandwich out of it, try the meatball recipe. Put some pasta in there as well. Absolutely delicious. Thanks for watching.